guys, it's Brittany from Ink and Papyrus, and today I'm going to be making these really cool specimen cards with you. Alright, so let's get to it. Alright, so this is going to require a little bit of measuring and cutting, not too much. Alright, and I'm going to show you how to cut these out doing the least amount of measuring possible. Okay, so you're going to want to get some paper. If you want decorative paper, that's fine. I like actually decorating them. So I'm using plain paper here. Make sure the card, stock, whatever you're using has some thickness to it. Okay, you're going to want to get a pencil, a craft knife, and a ruler. Okay, and the easiest way to do this is on a cutting mat with measurements, craft mat. All right, so you are going to want to kind of eyeball how large you want your frame to be, the inner frame. I think probably something of this, about that yay size is what I'm going for. So I'm going to make some marks here, okay? This will be the inside portion of the frame. You won't see it, so feel free to mark it up. I'm gonna make some marks here. That's kind of what I want the outside frame to be. Okay, so that's about 2 boxes worth. Okay, 1, 2. So I'm gonna line this up. And like I said, we're working on the outside frame. Okay, so marking this out. All right, again, this is the right portion of the frame. Find my 2 boxes. Okay, inside frame, find my 2 boxes, and again, 2 boxes. Make my mark. Okay. All right, we're gonna start cutting. Remember, you are only cutting out the inside portion of the frame, okay? And if you don't have the steadiest hands, you can go ahead and cut alongside your ruler, like so. For me, if it's just a little area, I kind of find it more trouble than it's worth, but that's just me. And famous last words, I may regret that in the end. And yes, I do have a Cricut. I should be ashamed of myself, but I hate dragging that thing out, so ruler and cutting knife it is. Okay, so now we're going to take this frame, throw it on top of this. We'll make sure it's lined up well. Okay, and now we're going to trace the inside frame, like so. And we're gonna cut again. I find that if you apply more pressure, the paper is less likely to rip on you, or just like tear, so to speak. Or maybe my blade is just a little bit dull. Okay, or my paper's kind of old and fragile. Okay, so we have our frame. Not bad. That is the part that is not fun. Glad we got that out of the way. All right, so I love these because you can put whatever you want in them. As you can see here, I have some embellishments, some of that like vellum, decorated vellum paper. I did some stamping along the edges. I used some of my washi tape up. I want to make with you a sewing inspired frame. As you can see here on these two cards, I used some leftover sewing pattern I had. And I want to go ahead and decorate this frame with you using that theme. And I have some extra thread and buttons and some things that I want to place inside. Okay, so for this we'll be using some Mod Podge. I'm gonna put this down so my craft mat isn't terribly sticky. I have a little sewing pattern. I love this stuff. You can make so many things with it. Okay. I'm getting low on the Mod Podge. So this is a paper Mod Podge. I like it because it's very matte. Alright. So, just gonna go along the frame here. And you can decorate these however you like. I just think the sewing pattern adds a little something special. And makes a good base for anything you really want to do with these. Right. So, just gonna rip some sewing pattern. There is nothing about this that has to be precise, which is why I think I like it so much. I like getting some of that, some of the wording in there. And it's really easy to trim the edges once the Mod Podge dries, so don't worry about that. We'll put down a couple of layers. Okay. And we're gonna let that dry, get that out of the way. Remember, you only have to do one side because this other side is gonna be smacked up against the inside of this. Okay. All right, we're gonna let that dry. We're gonna do the same with this one. I love these sewing patterns, they're so much fun. Like I said, you can do so much with them. I really like using them as a base to make journal cards. I just went down to my local thrift store and got a whole heap of them. They're just trying to get rid of them. I feel like that's always a good place to look. You go ahead and cut this at the end after it dries. I just cut that right now because I wanted to use it to finish the frame instead of ripping off more pattern. okay if you have some ruffles in there, some wrinkles. I actually like that. And I think if you want to just dress the frame a little bit more, it kind of helps you do that. Gives you a nice base to add pigment to, or whatever else you want to do with this. Just gonna make sure our edges are tacked down. Okay. And like I said, we'll trim them at the end. It's easier when the glue's dry. Okay, perfect. So we got those out of the way. All right. So we will trim those up and decorate those in a little bit. Now we're going to decorate one of our other frames that I wasn't going to use sewing pattern on. We're going to do something a little different with that one. So I have some other cutout frames here. Sorry, let me get my lid back on. Okay. So I have cut out some other frames. We are going to decorate. So you can see I used all different sizes. Okay. So I'm going to do this bigger one here. Now I have a little bit of unevenness here in the paper, so I'm going to use my sanding block. Get rid of those. Perfect. All right. So let's go ahead and, oh, sorry, that was my chair. Nothing to see here, folks. Okay, so let's go ahead and grunge this up a little bit. Stamp directly on it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ink this frame up a little bit. Okay. Definitely the outside. I think I'm going to ink the inside up too, just to accentuate what is inside the frame. All right, so this is where you're gonna want to get some plastic cover. I swear everything I order comes in these, so I have a whole heap of them. I've been waiting to use them. So what you're gonna do is decide what you want as your background here. I think I'm not sure. I like these book pages. I don't know if they will pop enough against this. I think so. I have these gorgeous flowers. And these are about the same size. Why don't I don't want to lose the hummingbird. Okay. We're gonna put these up against book page. That's what we're gonna do. Just gonna cut off a little bit. So one is going to be the front of the card and one is going to be the back of the card. You can do specimen cards two ways. If you have something that is on the front, the same, or something with a front and a back, you can just put this in the clear plastic and put that within the card itself. And now you have a front and a back. I like to back mine with something. As you can see here, I had something that didn't have a front and a back. So I backed it against something on book page so that I could put something different on the back. So I think what we're gonna do is, need to cut that down a little bit more. Okay, perfect. Okay. So now I'm going to cut down the book page. I'm going to make some marks here. So here's the end of the frame. So I'm going to cut there. Okay, and here's the end of the frame. Make sure you leave enough page to totally cover the inside and to give it, you know, something to latch onto. And I'm gonna come there, cut there. Okay. So this is gonna be the base. Okay, perfect. All right. So what you want to do, come in here. We want to glue this down. Take your frame, make sure it's center. Okay, I like using the thinner paper for my base because now I can flip it over onto the back and feel exactly where the other side is. so that I know that these centers are center relative to the frame. Okay. Kind of flip it. Oh, and if I lift it up like that, I can kind of see through. So I'm just going to make sure they're lined up perfectly. Good. Okay. Perfect. Now, we're going to stick these in the plastic frame. And I'm going to cut it. I'm going to get rid of this tab that keeps getting in the way. It's very annoying. Okay. Okay, so you have a couple options here with regard to securing this down. I really like the way these look when they're sewed, and it also makes it easier to secure this plastic. I don't like securing the plastic to the frame with a bunch of glue because I feel like it always seeps out and it makes a mess, and a lot of times this becomes cloudy. So the other thing, if you don't want to sew this, what you can do is use this glue tape. Even if you do so, I would put a couple lines of adhesive down so that this isn't moving all over the place before you sew it. Okay. So I'm going to secure this here. So we'll make this the no-sew card, and then we'll do a sewing card, the one that is sewing themed. That only makes sense to me. All right, and so we're gonna get it in there on that side. The other thing you can do to make this a little bit easier on yourself, make a nick there so you can actually get in there and get this glue adhesive all the way down. Okay, and on this end, a little bit more here, and all the way down. I'm gonna lift this back up because I got a little crinkle in there. I really don't want. Oh. Okay, I think that's okay. It's sort of actually where the frame is gonna be, so we're good. Okay. All right, so now that we have our frame and everything in plastic, we're going to come along and cut this because I don't want the plastic showing. Okay. So this part I am going to use some. Okay. So I'm going to use some wet white glue on the outside and some glue stick on the inside, because like I said, I just don't like it when the white glue kind of seeps out and gums up the plastic. But I do want to add a little bit of this to try and keep it, make sure it stays together, especially since we're not going to be sewing this one. Okay. Just make sure that is, yep. Okay. And I'm gonna go along the second frame here, all in glue stick. Make sure everything is centered and lined up. If you have to readjust a little bit, that's okay. I have a little bit sticking out there in the side. I am just going to trim instead of trying to move this plastic, and re-ink a little bit just so it doesn't look uneven. Okay, and I'm going to come in here, once I'm happy with that, I'm going to come in here, put down just a little bit more glue stick, and really seal it down for good this time. Same up top. Got all our corners in. Oh. Good. All right. I'm happy with that. So we got a front and a back of our specimen card. All right. So now we're going to decorate our front a little bit more. Let's add some stamps to this. Let me put a little butterfly in there. Lots of flowers, the hummingbird. Yeah, let's put on a butterfly. Stick with like the softer pink theme. Let's see what we got here. Just kind of coming into the frame. Love it. Okay, maybe we'll make a butterfly down here. like the words and the letters on these because they are specimen cards after all. I have some stamped fabric I think would fit this perfectly. Ooh, let's do that. Very French. And it doesn't have to be the same on both sides. I think, you know, because you're not using the same design on each side, we're using two different designs. Feel free to make it as different as you want. I like sticking to the same themes. This is kind of like a floral nature theme. Number on this side. Ink it up. Put this to the side. You don't have to stay within any boundaries. Feel free to let decorations overlap. I think it looks really nice like that. I love stickers for these. And in fact, I will link to my last tutorial where we actually made stickers together. I think stickers are perfect for this, especially the clear backed ones like this one I have. There's a flower there. Let's see what other decorations I have. Stamps. Ooh. I have a little bit of this like trim, leaf trim here. And I love this. Ooh, I think that adds a little something special there. I'm gonna get some glue on this. These are hard to keep down. They always want to curl up on you. So I like wet white glue for this. Get on there. And again, no rules. I am going to kind of let it venture off onto the frame there. Just be careful with the wet glue that it doesn't muck up the frame too much. All right. Oh, I really like that. Why don't we put, I have a little bit of that left, this leaf. Why don't we go along the top there? Maybe I'll use this applique and give it a little flower. I think if I put a flower there, that'll be in the way. What if I add it a little bit lower? Ooh, I think that's perfect. Ooh, I really like this. So there we go. We have that, a floral butterfly specimen card. All right, I'm gonna see if our sewing pattern frame is dry, and it is. So we're just gonna trim this up. Get rid of these edges. Hope you guys are having a good day and are getting some really fun crafts in. You know, I'm working on finishing a couple spooky journals right now. So I thought this would be a nice break from that. Almost done. Rid of those. All right, one more. All right, we're back and we are gonna grunge these puppies up. Get yourself something to cover your desk. All right, I'm really going for the vintage look here. So I have vintage photo, some white shimmery spray, and a little bit of instant coffee with some water and alcohol in it. I find if you add a little alcohol, it keeps it from getting moldy too quick. So, spray, and then drop. We're gonna drip a little bit, like the look of the drops. And just let it drip down. Okay. And actually, I'm gonna take two of the other frames that I made and just use them to lap up some of this vintage goodness. Save me some time later. Okay. All right. Nothing too precise about this. Just gonna pick this up and let it drip a little bit. Same here. Just let it drip, 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 drip. And we're gonna mop it up a little bit. All right. See, and now we've already done our next frames, or at least distress them a little bit. Okay. I like them. Kind of want a little bit more distress. I'm gonna get my ground espresso, wet this up a little bit. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to take some dark ink and we are going to see these little wrinkles here. We're going to accentuate them. There we go. Get some of that black in there. There we go. Better. I like that. Okay. All right, so I think I'm happy with those. And trim up a loose end here. Okay. So I'm happy with those. So let's get this out of the way. All right, so now we're going to be working on the inside portion of the frame. Get out your clear plastic wrap here. This is why I saved these, by the way. They're perfect for these specimen cards. Get rid of this tab that is always in the way. Okay, so here we have our grunged up frames, and we are going to fill the center. Okay, so since this is going to be a sewing themed specimen card, what perfect ephemera to put in other than some sewing pattern. Okay. All right. And we're gonna have this be its own front and back, if that makes sense. And you're gonna see in a second why I love actually sewing these instead of mucking them up with glue. I think it's so much easier to seat the inside frame. Okay, and I'm gonna I have this really cute button. So I don't want these to move around in the frame, so I am still going to put on a little adhesive. I think when you do that, instead of trying to reach in here and try and put in the adhesive like this, just unroof this. Now you have some room to work with. Okay. But you still want to make sure, because I guarantee you this plastic is bigger than the frame. So we still want to make sure we know the limits of where we're placing things before we glue them down. Okay. It's okay if you have overhang, we'll trim that at the end. Okay. So sewing pattern. Love it. Okay. Maybe taking up a little bit more room than I wanted. Get rid of that. Fold this over. And how cute, I'm looking at one of my wax seal stickers. How cute if we just seal that off. Make it look like it's closed. Okay. Okay. Now I am going to put some adhesive on the back of this just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. Okay. Make sure I'm still good. Good. Okay. Now we're gonna put a button in there, and I'm gonna try and get a little adhesive on here. Don't know how well that's gonna work. It may move around a little bit, that's okay. I also have some embroidery floss. I'm just gonna loosely place this down. I think I'm gonna put this around the button. I don't know if that'll stay, but we'll try. It can be a little haphazard. Kind of the look we're going for. Ooh, you know what would be really cool if we made a little bow. Make your bunny ears. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Okay. Okay, I will be right back. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. Okay, we are back and we have a sewn frame. I love how this turned out, guys. Look at the cute little button and the thread. Perfect. I definitely want to make more of these. Okay, so all we have to do now is trim the excess paper and plastic. And then we have our completed card. These are so much fun to mass make. Oh my gosh. The one thing I will say is as you can see, I have two lines here. If this doesn't bother you, which it really doesn't bother me, I think it's easier before you put the top on the top frame, if you just want to go around and sew the bottom portion of the frame to the plastic layer first. I think it's easier to control them and keep them from moving if you do one to the plastic and then you go around and sew again the top of the frame. And that's just me. Otherwise, sometimes you have a lot of like moving and shaking. And not in a good way. Alright, just trim this little extra bit off. And we will have our completed frame. So how's that for a sewing theme frame? So let's look at all the specimen cards we made using these techniques. sewing themed, bird theme, the hummingbird and flower specimen card we made. I made this fairy themed one, and a butterfly and flower themed one again. As you can see, I really like the look of the sewing pattern backed frames. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a lot of fun making these. My videos come out Monday and Fridays, so if you enjoy this and want to see more of Ink and Papyrus, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys. See you soon.